All right, let's do it. Welcome to another episode of OoruLabs podcast. This is like the soapbox for urban sustainability, and here we are back with Nirav. And look, we have Shilpi with us today. She calls herself a runner with a commuting problem, right? I still remember that. I don't have to look at your profile. That's what it says. Thanks for coming on the show, Shilpi. Tell us what the commuting problem really is.
Um, so commute basically in Bangalore is a problem for everybody, whether you're walking, cycling, driving, taking the bus or taking the cab. Nothing is easy. So, and I have tried everything, and I have finally stuck with the cycle. That's the most convenient way of all. So, but it's still a problem. It's not I mean, it is the easiest options of all, but it can be much better.
Yeah, it can definitely be much better. Uh, we've all been dealing with these commuting issues quite a bit. I cycle around. Now, luckily, I'm at walking distance to work. Nirav, of course, he does all kinds of stuff. He goes out faster than all of us do on the weekends. But really, this your experiences with cycling, I think, has been documented quite a bit, and it's Women's Day on the 8th, and Women's Month is what they call it. And thanks for showing the way for all the women out there. Any particular challenges as a woman specifically in the commuting by cycle thing?
No, I mean, I didn't face it. I typically don't take uh, I don't take out my cycle to commute after dark, and I stick to main
Hmm.
road. Mainly because the internal roads are not well lit and you can't see where you're going. So I don't try any of that, but there must be challenges women face. But during the regular rush hours, I think there is no problem. I have not faced an issue. And
Hmm.
there are people who, I mean, push around and do, but not because I'm a woman. They just feel like they can push around any cyclist. So,
Yeah, they do push around all of us as well. It's not like they single out women alone for that, but I don't know if there is any of that specific bias uh, that is there. But in general, I think cyclists as a whole have a big problem in the commute itself. But we've been trying to make this attempt to surface this in many ways, right? So we had this cycle to work platform, which you are also a part of. We'll talk a little more about that. But now it is Altmo, where we are trying to track all these rides. That's one way of surfacing numbers, right? We are trying to focus on how many people are cycling. That's the thing. I don't see people at 9 o'clock on this stretch, so nobody's cycling anywhere in town. That's how the conversation goes. So we are putting up numbers there, saying where people are cycling, how many are cycling, and things like that. But you interestingly chose to do it in a different way, which I kind of like, and I've been following it, and I'm extremely thrilled that I think it's probably, I don't know about you, if you've seen something else, Nirav, but I think this is probably the first cartoon series on urban problems, especially being a cyclist. You've tried to focus on that. Tell me more about how that got started. Why did you start even drawing things? Did you always do that?
so I draw, but lately I don't get much time, so I don't. But I used to draw a lot. But generally, people sitting around, walking, doing things. I'm not trained, but I've been drawing a lot. I've done quite a bit, even in school, college. So now I draw mainly because I mean I don't copy things. And now I just what I'm drawing on the strip is mainly my experiences, right? As an urban cyclist, and I have a lot to say about cycling. I do say on my social media, but then I realize that people don't connect with it. They just read things and they read 100 other things and it doesn't like leave any impact. Like if I say something, if I said something 5 years back that hey, traffic is going to get worse, I will not, nobody can get to anywhere, and people will not recall that. but I think there is a power that pictures have. Uh, and of course, there are some things that I'm drawing that I can't capture by pictures. Even if I, let's say, take my camera, I can't do that. And so I actually, one day an incident happened and I drew it because it was
Mm.
just on my mind, right? There were a bunch of people honking behind me on the cycle lane. And I was not annoyed at all. I just, for fun, I slowed down. And they went even, they got even more mad. And they couldn't beat me up because I was a girl. So, uh, and that just made me like really thrilled. When I came back, I drew the situation, and that conveyed it much better than how I could have described it to somebody else. So, and then Satya thought that, oh, it's a great idea. Why don't you do it regularly? And I thought that, yeah, why don't I do it? I have all these things to say, and I see things when I'm cycling, and a lot of those things are actually very funny. And if you're inside a car, you never get to see all those things. And some of those experiences are very unique to cycling and being on the road and being in Bangalore, being in Whitefield, that even somebody living in a city may not connect. That, okay, how much dust is present in Outer Ring Road? People
I
don't
know.
know. So it just started like that, and I quite enjoy doing that. So I think about, okay, what I'm going to draw, what I'm going to say about it, and many of these ideas just come while I'm cycling because I see something and it just happens.
No, that's very interesting because I got really enamored when I saw that. I think that was the first post, but I saw the one with the helmet and the sunglasses where there's a bicycle. Do you have that with you? I'm
Yes.
unfortunately I'm not able to share my
Yeah, I was
screen.
just
This
going to
new
say, it would be
browser
nice
doesn't.
if you could see the illustrations as well,
The
just so that the
the
viewer can
one, yeah,
also take a glimpse at what's
yeah.
going. Yeah.
I'll probably edit. That's the one. That's the one I saw. I saw this on your. Did you put it on Instagram or somewhere you put it, right? I don't know
Yeah,
where I
yeah,
saw it, but I saw it.
yeah.
Right. And that got me thinking is that it's very perspective. It's kind of telling you that you're looking at these things and you were on a bicycle helmet. It was nice. And then the one previous you had drawn is the one you were referring to, right? Then you said, no, I'd already done something. I want to kind of, put that out there. And then yeah, that was the one you drew. That was the one.
So this is
Right.
just a honking example that you just mentioned about, right?
Right.
Lovely.
Yeah.
This was
Lovely.
before the thing one, I think. This got me thinking, right? We'd never had any urban comic series on. I watched Yehuda Moon and the Kickstand Cyclery, right? Nirav, I don't know if you've seen that. We just didn't have artists focusing on these kind of issues, and I just loved it that Shilpi had been doing that. There have been a lot since then. I think it's. What are some of the interesting things? What are your favorite ones out there, Shilpi?
Uh, I mean, my favorite ones do not get much likes. Um,
There's another
this
one
is
with just the tree and the cycle.
this was a prophecy. This was prophetic. I mean, I
Ah,
have not added the speech bubbles yet, but this is what's happening just less than 2 kilometers from home. A very peaceful road where where people used to run and cycle early in the morning, and of course during the daytime it used to get clogged with people driving 1 kilometer to work in their gigantic SUVs. And there is also a hotel construction happening here. This is in Adarsh Palm Retreat. Hotel construction is taking place, and they decided that, okay, how will people come in here? And all these rich people staying in their 5 crore villas, they cannot access Outer Ring Road even though they are 1 kilometer away from it. So they decided to build an underpass. And there were ads kept here for the last 2 years that underpass coming up, it's going to be great. And what else? It's just going to take 1 minute to zip through. And it was such a joke. I used to just laugh at it. And actually, I've seen dogs sitting there. And look,
mm.
they're not, of course, reading it, but it looks like they're reading, and I'm laughing at it. Like, okay, it's coming up. It's the writing on the wall. Even the dogs know how to read it. So,
That's amazing.
I do see also while running, cycling, I see that there are animals on the road. They seem much smarter than the people driving on the road.
I think so.
So
Maybe better
I
behaved as well.
better behaved, and they know how to deal with the traffic, but they're also, the poor guys are also affected quite a bit by traffic. But when you're cycling, you will notice that, hey, there is a dog sitting there is a cat on the roof, and there are these birds are flying. There are lakes nearby, so there are birds. They swoop down and pick up a dead rat from the road. So and squirrels. So these things are there. It's all there to see. And you somehow see things a lot. Maybe other cyclists don't see it. Maybe they're much faster. I purposefully slower because I want to stay alive. So I look at all these things. I look at people and them fighting, and some scooter fallen down. The scooter fallen down is a very common occurrence, and the scooter guy is telling a person cycling that it's not safe at all. Don't cycle. But most of the time, I see scooter guys having an accident. So these are things. I
I
mean,
know,
I see.
right?
It's funny.
That says a lot, honestly. Like, especially on, I mean, to give the viewer a perspective of cycling on Bangalore streets, there isn't a lot of difference between you and someone on a moped or a scooter. Or I might actually say that you would be fast if you wouldn't even have to try hard to be faster than a scooter in your typical commute. So for them to tell you that it's not safe on a cycle, that's just saying something.
Yeah.
Maybe they're thinking that they're going to come and hurt you voluntarily. I don't know what it means. It's just senseless.
Yeah, it doesn't
But
make
maybe,
sense actually. I think scooters are very unstable and they have small wheels. Plus, they go faster, and because our road conditions are so bad, they can have accidents much more easily. And if you're falling down with a heavy vehicle, you are also at risk. Then you're also risk to the other person you're having an accident with if you run into somebody. But it is more dangerous. And one of my friends who also cycles and has had some bad accidents, unfortunately. So he said a nice thing that driving a scooter and riding a cycle takes equal amount of stupid. So one should not be like,
choose your stupid is what you say.
yeah, choose your stupidity. So yeah, I choose cycle because I mean it is so much more convenient and cheaper. And in case of traffic jam, okay, I'm stuck. They are stuck, but I can still carry my cycle on my
Yeah,
shoulder.
you can carry that scooter
And I have
anywhere.
not
Yeah.
seen anybody carrying the scooter. I would like to see that.
But yeah, when do you observe these things that you doodle? Is it all mostly on your rides to work?
Yeah, they are all right to work. And I don't really generally ride around for anything else. For commute only, I ride. If I have to see somebody, I'm going alone. Family is not going. I'll ride to work. I've also tried to take a bus, but it's not very convenient. It takes more time and it requires crossing the road on foot, which is worse than cycling. So I prefer cycling. And I observe these things because these things are literally happening all around us. It doesn't take much power of observation.
I know. But translating them into these beautiful cartoons is something. So viewers should uh, check out her Instagram page at Brakefail22, BRAKEFAIL22. That's the plug. The other plug is do subscribe to the CFAM newsletter. We are at edition 20 now. This week it's at cfam.substack.com, cfam.substack.com. And this week we had a new set of bollards. Shilpi and bollards go along very well. She'll tell you more about it. But this week we had a new set of bollards. It was one of the other trials. I think DLT had put out a challenge for 2 or 3 different types of bollards to be tried and tested. So this was one of them. There's another one in Dodenakundi which is being tested, like those extended armadillos, and there was one other, I don't remember which one, but there are 3 different types which are being tested for durability and all of those kind of things to make sure that they sustain and then pick up. So it was put for a small stretch right now, and a lot of people, nobody cycles. Why do we need this? Why do we need bollards? Why do we need bollards, Shilpi? You've seen them uprooted right in front of your eyes.
Yeah. We need pollards for cyclists who are not ready to die. Okay.
Exactly.
Many of us have just made peace with the fact that somebody will come and hit us soon. But there are people who don't want to die. Okay. They want to stay alive. And they want to cycle. We want to give them an option that, hey, you can cycle safely here. There are kids, there are senior citizens who cannot deal with this crazy traffic. And if we are able to deal with it because we are young and we are able, but maybe 20, 30 years down the line, we may not be able to. So we should have an option. And anybody can cycle. Once they know how to cycle, they can cycle when they are 60, they're 70, they're 80, they can. And it's a wonderful way to stay mobile and healthy. Because once you stop moving, a lot of problems happen and you become dependent. So when people become older or they are not well, it's a great way for them to get some exercise, get some mobility, and be independent, not be dependent on somebody. So that's why we require safe cycling infrastructures, and we require permanent protected cycle lanes. Just like we have permanent footpaths, we need permanent cycle lanes.
Yeah, I agree with that. The bollards are just one option which are little more porous than the permanent ones that are there in the CBD. They are a stopgap arrangement to create continuity in some sections and test things out before things become permanent. We are, as usual, very impatient with most things, and we want to jump into conclusions too quickly before the network is formed, and pass judgments and remove everything out. We don't allow people to experiment. But the permanent cycle tracks are what it is. They should be segregated from the road space, and like you said, they need heavier protection. We need to try and prevent the two-wheelers from abusing these things. It's not going to be perfect right off the bat. Nothing is perfect. Amsterdam has been doing cycle tracks for 40 years and they're still fixing it. But what we need is huge volumes of cycle tracks, many kilometers of network and connected ones. And in the areas where people are cycling, there's a lot of people cycling in Pina. There's a lot of people cycling around to the IT parks. Cycle to work, Shilpi, you have been a part of that as well. Where do you see that going? Are there more people cycling to work now? Are there less people? Do you think it will take off? Of course, there is skepticism, but
yeah, people are cycling to work. Most of them come from close by distances, and many of them, I would say, many of them are young folks, but not necessarily. If somebody is coming from a little far, they have some apprehension. Like I have a colleague who's young, but he's worried that will I be able to cycle 8 kilometers or 7 kilometers because he has to cross main roads. But most people I see, they're coming from close by. They are able to come 3-4 kilometers very easily. I see a lot of cycles in the basement. Many of them still don't pay attention to the cycle to work registering and tracking their rides, but they're riding. Yeah. So that's in my company.
No, but I think broadly we have been a part of that community for quite a while, and we have seen quite a bit of traction. Not everybody need to track their ride, but whoever does is contributing to adding to the data around that. But this whole hand wringing about we are not. So that's the other thing, right? I wrote about this yesterday. I wanted to write after people said, oh, you know what? We are not a rich country. we cannot afford, we need to have a lot more motoring going around before we think of all these bicycle lanes and bus lanes and things like that. I don't know where that comes from, right? I don't understand suddenly why you have to be rich in order for you to cycle. In fact, at some levels people say it's a poor man's transport, and at other levels people seem to think that it is something that can only be had, the infrastructure, when we get to be a rich country. I don't understand that logic at all. I don't know how you guys think about it.
I don't understand this logic in many ways because at one point people look down upon cycling, saying that cycling is just it's not my status symbol. It's a very bad thing. I would rather buy a 5-ton truck, and that shows my status much better. And at the same time, they also say that cycle lanes are not required because they are meant for these clad elitist cyclists. And I don't get it, because at one point they're saying that it is a very cheap thing, and then another point they're saying it's a very expensive elitist thing. So I don't know where that comes from. I mean, a lot of people cycle in the city. I think unless you wear a helmet and shiny reflective clothes, maybe you're not visible at all. Maybe everybody should just wear that. Maybe we should just wear some glowing traffic cones or something. Maybe then they'll become visible. I don't get it, that why is that the security guards in tech park, almost 100% of them come by cycles, and the people who go to these tech parks can't see them, and their cycles are parked right there or in the basement. How do they think these guys come? The security people, the maids, the service staff, do they think they come in SUVs? Or what is it that they think that everybody comes on?
It's quite ridiculous in that sense, because I guess in the last 2 years, I mean, especially like through and since the pandemic, this split association of cycling has sort of begun, wherein before 2020, cycling was always associated as a sort of, it tended towards being associated towards, okay, if you can't afford to buy a scooter, or you'll take the cycle to work. But then as in through the pandemic, as cycling started rising as a sport, not only as a means of commute, then everybody saw the lycra clad helmet warriors, the helmet weekend warriors, and started associating it as sort of like a rich man's sport, almost equivalent to golf, to be honest. But then what this does is they're sort of conflating the weekend warrior stuff along with your cycling for commute, and it's getting very fuzzy and jumbled up in everyone's mind. So that's the split association, and this is something like, I didn't know how to tackle. I mean, even think about this, to be honest, because I don't know about the two of you, but this is something I've only noticed in the last like 2-3 years, a little before the pandemic and through it. But because if you always associate the sport as, I mean, like, firstly, that argument makes no sense. We don't need to be a rich country, even for anybody who wants to cycle on our roads. Secondly, okay, assume that it is a rich man's sport, but still, we need the infrastructure. And thirdly, look at our country historically. Look at the cycles that we have. Look at as Shilpi pointed out, look at the sort of spread of commute and commute choice. Wherein if you take a tech park, a minority, I would say, use their vehicles or public transport. But then if you just look at the staff of a tech park, most of them, as Shilpi said, would be cycling to work. It's just that vehicles are more visible. White collar work, unfortunately, is more visible. And so it's quite an interesting sort of like thought experiment, I mean, to think about this entire scenario. And I, to be honest, I don't know how we landed over here, where it's just like polar opposites of each other. Because while at the same time, just think about cycling.
Yeah. But somebody said yesterday on WhatsApp, I just posted that article that I'd written on my Medium blog, and he said something interesting. Most of these are just excuses. these are not guys who are going to do anything anyway. So they're just finding this. If this doesn't work, that argument. If that doesn't work, they have the frame of reference bias. They own a vehicle and they somehow feel that I have to on Twitter stand up for this for some reason, right? I was a little bit inconvenienced, and I need to just present my argument as the one that is the truth, because there is a lot of vehicles that I see right now. But where is this your doodle going from here, Shilpi? Do you want to? Because I'm completely floored by that thing. I watch it. I wait for it every week, and if you don't put it out by Sunday, Monday, I'm after you. See, why didn't she post it? No.
I would love to see this doodle as like a weekly illustration. That would be amazing.
It is weekly, right?
I try to do it once a week. Sometimes I can't do it once a week. I would like to do it more often, but weekdays is really not possible for me to draw anything. So I do it once a week now. So I mean, it's going in no direction. It's going in the direction that okay, things are happening, and here is what happened, and so it's just about
So I think after today's podcast, we need to coin the term Shilpi Index. So as week by week, let's just say if a doodle start getting, the picture that he literally paints is slightly more positive, we would know that the reality on the road is that cyclists are having a good time. We could call that the Shilpi Index for Bangalore. And it's like a weekly indicator of a cyclist commute in Bangalore. How does it look? That's literally what it is.
Yeah, we are numbers people, Nirav. We've been putting numbers on Altmo for so long that we want to make it a VIX for cycling. You know the VIX, which is the risk rating for the stock market. But what is interesting is what you said, Shilpi. It doesn't need to have a direction, right? It's just what you feel that day and it is coming out. We try to do this with the podcast as well. Every weekend, me and Nirav are on here. This is our soapbox. We want to talk about stuff. We talked about bus. We are going to have more bus next week. We're going to have autos pretty soon as well. So we cover the entire gamut of this one. So guys, subscribe to the channel and keep a watch out. We'll get more interesting people like Shilpi around. Don't forget BreakFail22 on Instagram, right? And it gets posted to Facebook.
You can have everything put in the description.
I'll put it out there, but I think the emotions that you put on the creative side matches very well with the numbers that we try to do, and we have a good soapbox. I'd like to see if I can feature more of those cartoons in as many places as possible. We need to have an exhibition soon. Maybe we'll collect a few more of these before we go. What do you say?
Yeah, why not? I'm happy to do that. Although it's in a like children's drawing book, I probably need to get a bigger one.
Just tear it out and put it on a frame. How many more do you like out of those? Show me some more. I think I will anyway link that. But have you not published something? Do you have something in the book that is not there on Instagram that you did like half off and you didn't want to put it out there?
No. I think almost everything is there.
I like the one with the tree and just the cycle standing there and the flowers falling or something. That was a nice one.
No.
Oh yeah, this is another one in the same series of beauty. So this is the Positive Vixen, Nirav, when she's actually looking at not the problems but the nice things out there. There are quite a few of them that I like. Yeah. I'm going to use that for. This is the one I liked as well.
Yeah.
It's just one day she just drew this thing with leaves and flowers falling and the cycle there, and I'm saying, yeah, there are so many problems on the other side, but we just look. This is what I felt like today.
Yeah.
That was just amazing. Yeah. So the VIX was on the high, and then you go back to the bollards getting ripped apart, and she is being put in danger. And then the next one goes all the way. Exactly that one.
Yeah.
I remember the entire series like it was a comic book in my mind. You can see the mood change, and the next day all the bollards are ripped out and they're thrown. This is just an amazing series. I think we should. I'll put this in the show notes. Let's see how this goes.
Awesome.
But let's conclude this. We are at 30 minutes. I don't want to bore people, but Shilpi has been very interesting. I just wanted to get this out there because this is what we need more of. Somehow this is what we need more of. We need more of different ways of communicating this. We have our soapbox with this talk. She has this thing with the doodle. There are people with numbers on one side. This community needs to come together. Shilpi, last words. What do you think?
I think we need to change our mentality about cycling. Even cyclists need to change their mentality about cycling. There is, of course, cycling as a sport. There's a big community there. Cycling for commuting, I think there are already a lot of people commute, except they just accept the reality the way it is. They know they will be pushed around, they will be asked to park in a ditch, not in a proper place. So, and they just accept it. I mean, we don't have to accept because it's been happening like that for many years. So we just need to change the way we think about cycling and commuting and sweating a little bit. I mean, that's not going to be a problem. When people think about, okay, I need to take a shower, like Bangalore, 5 kilometers cycling, you'll not sweat. Why you worry about shower? You sweat more inside a car, waiting for trying to uh, trying to negotiate traffic, and your BP will go 150 by 200 sitting in a car. I mean, then you need to think a little out of the box. Of course, people, literally for the car people, but for other folks also, you need to think a little outside. I mean, just think how easy it will be to cycle. Try it for 7 days. Try it for 2 days. You'll find why. I mean, try to understand what the cyclists are saying. And if you're not able to understand, don't
Yeah.
argue with them on Twitter. Just go try it out. Cyclists need to ask for the rights. The roads don't belong to cars or to scooters or motorbikes or tankers. It is streets are meant for people.
That's a good way to put it. Think outside the car. Don't have a frame of reference issue alone. Think outside the car, build some empathy, and we'll all be better off. Thanks a lot, Shilpi, for joining us. Thanks, Nirav. Let's get back on next week. Do subscribe, share, and
Thank
like.
you.